Self-control. That is something we need to practice on a regular basis. Self-control is the goal. Well, what does self-control mean? Self-control is controlling our emotions, our actions, and our words. You see, Adam and Eve had a choice in the garden. Remember the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? And God said, do not eat of that tree because if you do, you will die. And Satan said, no. God lied. He does not want you to be like him. So you can eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Well, Adam and Eve had a choice that day to practice self control by doing the right thing, even when the wrong thing looked good. You see, that tree looked appealing. And Satan lied to them. He said, oh, come on, if you eat of this tree found in the book of Genesis, chapter 3, he said, you will become like God. You'll be wise like God. So that sounded really appealing to Adam and Eve. So they decided, they made a choice to not practice self control. They did the thing that looked good over the thing that was the right thing to do. First grade, that is something we have to work on a regular basis. There are so many times that we know something's wrong. It could be in the classroom. We know that when we go to the bathroom, that the rules are we learned in chapel, right? To walk into the bathroom, use the restroom, wash your hands, sing the happy birthday song a few times to get those germs off, right? Clean up and walk out. But oh, sometimes it is so hard to do that. It is so much easier sometimes to want to do the wrong thing, like, hey, our friends are in there. We could play basketball with the paper towels and have a blast. But that would not be practicing self control, would it? It would be doing what we think looks fun, but it's got its consequences. See, when we make the wrong choice, we have to pay the consequence for our choices that are wrong. When we do the things that are wrong, we call that sinning. And Adam and Eve, they had to pay a consequence for their sin because they chose not to practice self control. So, our character trait this week is self control. Last week it was set your mind to be kind. This week it's self control is our goal. So while you're home doing your studies, you may kind of like, I really feel like watching TV versus doing my homework or my schoolwork. And mom's kind of like in the other room. And I know she told me to do my work, but she's a little busy and the TV's right there. Maybe I can watch a little bit of TV. And if we choose to take the TV versus what mom told us to do, are we practicing self control? No, we're not. We're choosing to sin. We're choosing to disobey mom. And that will have its consequences, right? And we want mom and dad have these rules, like mom might be thinking, hey, get this work done. It is for your good. And maybe there's a little plan at the end of the day, but we can't get to the next step until your work is done. So mom knows there's a plan in it, just like God does. God had that rule for Adam and Eve not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil because it was for their good to not eat it. He knew if they ate it, they would die. And so that is why he said, don't eat it. So that is why mom and dad, that is why your teachers, that is why the police officers, right, make laws or rules for us because it's for our good. And we want to do the right things. So when we're tempted to do the wrong thing, let's remember this saying self control is the goal. Will you say that with me? Self control is the goal. In our story this week, we're going to continue with what Adam and Eve did, but we're going to work a little bit further in that tomorrow. Today is our character trait day, so I want us to look at a little thing on the computer, and I want you to help me tell me if this picture is somebody practicing self-control. So let's go ahead and scroll down my paper right here. Let's see how this works. Open worksheet. Let's see if this works for us. Oh, it's actually not a picture. It is a sentence. So I will read it to you and you let me know who has self-control or if it's not self-control. All right? Claire was waiting in line to walk to her classroom to recess. She really wanted to hurry so she could play on the swings, but she stood still and stayed in line. Did Claire practice self-control? Yes, she did, because she really wanted to go play. And sometimes it would be fun to cut our friend in line. Not the right thing, but sometimes we're tempted. And so we, again, want to practice the goal of self-control. Oopsies. Next question. You can read it with me if you can read it. Matthew's little brother messed up the tower Matthew was building. Has that ever happened to you? Matthew got really mad and pushed his brother. Self-control or not self-control? You're right. It was not self-control. He should have maybe talked to his brother about not ruining his things. He could have even told mom or dad, like, hey, he keeps bothering my toys while I'm building. But pushing his brother, that was not the right thing to do. Daniel's Sunday school teacher asked a question. Daniel knew the answer, but he raised his hand and waited for his teacher to call on him. What do you think? Does that show self-control or not self-control? Absolutely it does, doesn't it? He could have blurted it out, but he didn't. He followed the rules of the Sunday school teacher and raised his hand. The next one. Abby's mother gave the last piece of cake to her older sister. Abby cried and complained because she wanted it. Crying and complaining when we don't get our own way. Self-control or not self-control? Not self-control. That's right. And the last one. Zeke's best friend was planning to come over and play, but he got sick and couldn't come. Zeke was very upset, but he stayed calm and played with his sister instead. What do you think about Zeke? He did. He did practice self-control. He didn't pitch a fit. Awesome job. I think that's the last one, but is it not? Yep, it was the last one. So first grade, self-control is our goal. God wants us to practice self-control in everything we do. And we want to work on that this week. So while you're going about at home, if there's some kids that are at school watching this, while you're doing your school, while you're playing with your neighborhood friends or playing with your cousins, playing with your siblings, I want you to practice self-control. When you're tempted to do what you want to do, but you know it's wrong, take a moment, stop and think, what if I did that? I'm going to have a consequence for it. We're going to learn tomorrow, or actually on Thursday in our lesson, that Adam and Eve had consequences for the sin that they chose. We have consequences too. When I choose wrong, I have to pay the consequence for it. When you choose wrong, so do you. So let's practice our self-control this week and work hard on that. And I trust that you will keep practicing self-control because that is our goal. All right, first grade, tomorrow it is chapel. So enjoy the chapel songs, enjoy our speaker. And then Thursday, we're going to continue with Adam and Eve. When they did not practice their self-control, what happened and what was their punishment? Have a good day.